Good morning. It is Friday, the 30th of June. Oh my God, we're halfway through the year. 2023. Hello, welcome to Morning Brew on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Nice to have you with us this fine morning. According to my stats here, we've only got 4 people watching. I think that needs updating. Is there only 4 of you out there? That's a bit disappointing. Anyway, I'd like to say hello to the 4 people who are watching, which must include somehow Master Templar, Scoopnum, we've got Vendetta there, Dave W, we've got Ian 2, we've got Dave W, we've got City Life 2015. More than all, I see that Zac Goldsmith has resigned as a minister. Yes, that's actually why I was a minute late getting started, because I was reading the article, because he's claiming, so this is Zac Goldsmith, the failed Tory mayoral candidate, the guy who failed to become mayor for the Tories, and so was given a peerage by the Tories, probably by Boris Johnson, actually. Obviously, he's incredibly rich, privately educated, of course. They pretty much all are. It's almost as though there's like some kind of affirmative action going on in the British political system, in which you get to be part of the political system if you went to private school. Affirmative action. Yeah, which has just been banned in America by the Supreme Court, or found to be unlawful to give people from deprived backgrounds a leg up. That's actually unlawful, and it should just be rich white kids now in charge of everything for forever. Yeah. Anyway, bizarre. Anyway, so Zac Goldsmith put into the House of Lords, and as a member of the House of Lords, he can be part of the government, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Like, he's not elected, but you become a minister anyway. Boris Johnson did this with Zac Goldsmith. He also did it with David Frost, who was the crap Brexit negotiator who couldn't negotiate his way out of a wet paper bag, who gave us this terrible Brexit deal that we're all going to be saddled with for the rest of our days, if the Tories have their way. However, tide might be turning. If anyone watched Question Time last night, you might have noticed that literally no one in the audience supported the Rwanda scheme. I made a quick video about it last night, and in the comments, it's like, when you do a job interview and then you walk out and you're like, oh, I should have said this, oh, I should have said that. Oh, it's a bit like that, because people in the comments are like, you do know that for every person we send to Rwanda, they send someone back. And I'm like, Yes, I know. Oh, damn, I should have put that in the video. Another reason why it didn't work. But that wasn't the fuss of my video. I wasn't trying to say it wasn't really about Rwanda. It was about the fact that the Tories are manufacturing this entire crisis, this migrant crisis, in order to win votes. And it's not working. It ain't working anymore. As Jarvis Cocker once sang, a bit more in tune than me. Cruella is done. What purpose does she even serve at this point? I don't know. I don't know why she's still in any kind of power. Thank you so much to Wes G for the £1 super chat there. No comment, but thanks anyway. If anyone else wants me to definitely read out their comment, super chats are open. It's Friday. We're doing a lot of stuff today. We got the show this morning. Then we should be doing the agenda at 1 o'clock with Phil Morehouse, and then hopefully this evening at 9 o'clock. You'll be able to join me for the Labour Social. I haven't actually asked anyone to join me for it yet. So it might just be me on my own with like a party popper and a little thing that comes out. Like that. But hopefully we'll get some people along. Don't worry, folks. The Tories have a plan for the NHS. No doubt it's a really fantastic plan. It's a cunning plan. It is a cunning plan that is more cunning than a fox that's been appointed Professor of Cunning at Oxford University. Peter Carter, good morning from Fuerteventura. Ooh, showing off, are we? That's fine, mate. Good. I hope you're having a good time. Helen Watley, the political equivalent of Blue Lou Block, is getting urinated on all over and sloshing this way and that and getting smaller and eventually disappearing down the drain. She was on Question Time last night, wasn't she? Was she one of them? I'll catch up on that after the show. To be fair, in Germany, everyone can become Chancellor or Minister, just not elected MPs. Parliament has to vote for them, of course. It's that. That's interesting. I mean, I think that to be part of a government in a democracy, someone's got to have voted for you. I know that sounds a little bit cray-cray, but, democracy, votes, kind of important. If you're really unpopular, I don't think you should be in government. End of. Pineapple Boy, thank you very much for the £2 super chat there, Pineapple Boy. Cruella hasn't disclosed her links to Rwanda either. Yes, and the Conservative Party marked its own homework. I think it was this week, actually, over Cruella's links to Rwanda. Basically, she had loads of business links with Rwanda before becoming Home Secretary, and then she becomes Home Secretary, and she initiates a scheme where we set to deport refugees to Rwanda. And it's like, is there a connection there? Although I think the Rwanda scheme does actually predate her and was something that came out under Priti Patel, and Suella Braverman picked up the baton and ran with it. But the fact remains that £140 million of taxpayers' money, your money, has been given to the government of Rwanda, not to help rebuild the country, but just basically as a bribe, I guess, for a hotel for people to stay in, for refugees that we send over there to stay in. And the accommodation, I shouldn't say hotel, it's accommodation, actually has some of the people who were orphans during the horrific genocide in 1994 in Rwanda, when the Hutus decided that they were sick of living with the Tutsis, and over 800,000 people were massacred in the space of just a few weeks. And adult survivors of that genocide who are still living with the trauma and still suffering from mental health problems, which you can understand if you've seen your family. It's too early for this kind of thing. Basically, just these people were living in the accommodation, and the British government turfed them out to make way for refugees, none of whom have arrived yet. Yeah. Over in Russia, by the way, there's a general called Surovikin, who's gone missing. And he was part of the Wagner group, so there you go. He's probably just fallen out a window or something. Did you see question time? No one put their hand up in agreement with the Rwanda plan when asked. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Lee. Where, like, literally, it's not so. When Priti Patel was not Priti Patel, the other one. When Suella Braverman was interviewed about it yesterday, she said she was banging on about the will of the people. And the fact that the establishment was stopping her from doing it, like, when she is the establishment, she's a millionaire. She went to private school. She's dead rich. She lives in a fucking mansion. Do you know what I mean? Like, she is the establishment. She's rich. She lives in a mansion. She's a minister. She's the Home Secretary. She's part of a government that's been in charge for 13 years. And yet, somehow, you are the establishment and she isn't. It's kind of painful. I know what you are, but what am I? It's so childish and so frustrating, and straight out of, yes, I'm going to go Godwin here, straight out of the Nazi playbook. This is straight out of the Nazi playbook. I don't know which Nazi who said it. I think it was Goebbels. I think it was Joseph Goebbels. He said, accuse your enemy of that which you yourself are guilty of. He said it in German, so that's a rough translation. But essentially, if you've done something bad, accuse your enemy of that bad thing. Trump does this all the time. The Tories do it all the time as well. Painful. Anyway, let's draw it back a little bit, because obviously I don't want to be getting too agitated this early in the morning. Let's save that for later, once I've had a couple of drinks. Although I don't know, after Glastonbury, I want to look at another beer or cider ever again. Andrew Ray says, do you think this new constituency is due in for the election 2024? What do you think of the new constituencies due in for election 2024? My Somerset and Frome will be losing Frome and joining Glastonbury instead. Oh, that's quite cool. You might get free tickets. Meanwhile, we are soon having a by-election. Well, you've got... I was supposed to be moving, my constituency here in Durham was going to be moving from City of Durham. I'm only 10 minutes from the city centre here. But I was going to be chucked out of City of Durham and then made West Durham or something, new constituency, which was going to have its headquarters in like Stanhope, which is like 2 hours away on the bus or something ridiculous. So if I want to see my MP, I'll have to go on a bit of an odyssey, a 4-hour bus odyssey there and back. My constituency, the constituency which I would be part of, wouldn't be mine, stretched all the way to Cumbria. Oh my God, that's like nearly an hour and a half drive. It's like, what the hell? Anyway, accuse the other of that. Of that, you are guilty. That's Joseph Goebbels. I was right. Thank you, Pineapple Boy, for looking that up. With his frozen bank account, what will come first? A Brexit benefit or Farage buying you a pint? Well, Farage has had his bank accounts frozen. I don't think he has. I think he's just put his PIN number in wrong 3 times or put his password in wrong 3 times. I mean, the man's thick. He's really thick. But unfortunately, for people who are not exactly with it, they love stupid people. That's why Rees-Mogg has this bizarre fan club. That's why Trump has so many supporters in America. He's thick, but other people go, oh, he's just like me. He's thick, just like me. And it's sort of, it transcends the wealth divide, because obviously these people are millionaires, billionaires. That doesn't matter, and social upbringing and class and everything else. Stupidity is a great glue for holding a huge swathes of the electorate together. And I'm going to sound really pretentious saying this, but let's face it, half of all people are below average intelligence. That's just a fact. That's just mathematics. It's not an opinion, it's just mathematics. Franco Puni, in Trumpist republicanism and Tory Brexit Britain, every accusation is a confession. That's a very good way of putting it, Franco Puni. I like that. Lucy Willer says, that's why I'm suspicious of anyone who accuses trans people of being groomers. Anyone who accuses trans people of being groomers is a transphobe, a disgusting transphobe who equates being queer or being trans as a equivalent of someone who abuses kids, and that is the way they think, because that's the way the older generation used to see homosexuality, and why it was banned for many years, and why, when it was finally legalized in 1967, I think, we still had that hangover of people saying it's wrong, it's unnatural, people shouldn't do it. And then in the 80s and then into the 90s until 1997, we had Clause 28 in schools, which meant you couldn't even talk about homosexuality. And you talk to older people who hated homosexuals, and you get people who, they had no religious reasons for hating homosexuals. It was just in their head. They made the equivalent of, if you're gay, you would obviously also probably be a paedophile, which is disgusting. Which is a disgusting way of thinking about stuff. I've just completely demonetized this video, so if anyone wants to just throw in a super chat, any allies out there want to throw in a super chat, I'll be really appreciative, because they're going to go through the transcript and they're going to go, oh, look what he said about gay people. Oh, he said the P word. But I've got to be careful about all this kind of stuff. But basically, if you go to Russia now, which is an incredibly homophobic society, you get the same attitude, especially at the higher levels. There's a guy who's in charge of Chechnya, who's an absolute monster. He's the guy who wants he's actually instituted concentration camps for queer people. Nice. Happy Pride Month, by the way. It's over. It's over today. Oh my god, that flew by, didn't it? They in state literature, they equate being gay with being the word I just used earlier. And now you're seeing the same kind of rhetoric being transposed, that's the right word to use, onto trans folk. And that, to me, is alarming, and something that really annoys me. And I know that there might be some people in the chat who don't really kind of pay too much attention to this, but the fact that these people who are transphobic, who get freaked out about the idea of people being trans, in the same way that in the past people might have got freaked out, some people still do, about people being gay, about the idea of two men kissing. Oh no, don't want that. It's disgusting. I don't want that. They are using the name of feminism in order to push forward their agenda. They're abusing the name of feminism and saying, no, I'm not a transphobe, I'm a feminist, which is so disingenuous. It actually makes me, a little bit upset. Let's just say it's very disingenuous. Justin Crowley says, Alan Turing was chemically castrated because he was homosexual. The man who unlocked the Enigma code. Appalling. Yeah. And, he killed himself. I mean, we drove a gay man to suicide for the crime of being gay, and we haven't learned any lessons. And there was someone who was it? I think they might have been on the radio yesterday talking about trans people and saying, oh, they say, oh, well, I've got to have these puberty blockers or I'll kill myself. And I mean, what? How dare you say that when the trans community is, especially young trans people, are some of the most likely to contemplate that and most likely to actually carry it out amongst any sort of segment of youth. And they're saying, oh, they're using it to blackmail people into getting these things that they want. And it's like, no, they just want to live. And it's so cruel. It's so mean. It's so mean-spirited. It's so against the spirit of liberty and letting people just live their lives the way that they want to live it. And equating trans people with CA is the lowest of the low, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, right, back onto the slagging off the Tories, which we were doing quite successfully. Oh, by the way, there's been a massive riots in France all week. This was triggered by the criminal shooting of a French teen who was shot dead by a police officer who is now facing murder charges, been arrested, quite rightly. Even the President Macron, has come down on the side of the protesters in a way by saying this is a disgrace, but that hasn't stopped the protests. And whenever this happens, whenever there's riots and protests in France, we always get the same thing, like people over here going, when's it going to happen over here? When's it going to happen over here? And I don't think it's going to happen over Brexit. I don't think it's going to happen over the Rwanda scheme. I don't think it's going to happen over Thames Water being taken back into national ownership and us paying millions, untold millions, to shareholders in other countries as compensation for the fact that Thames Water was owned by Australian, what was it? The Australian Property Group for many years, and basically they just borrowed loads of money because they could and just spent it all on going on holiday and possibly cocaine. I don't know. Anyway, we should decide who comes here, not criminal gangs. This is the Daily Mail headline today. Jesus Christ. We could go through the papers actually, if you want to. If there's any demand for it, I will go through the papers. We've got the Times with blueprint to boost NHS workforce by 200,000, which is interesting because obviously there you have. Actually, I'll bring up the papers because it is quite interesting that their spin on it, as such. Yeah, there we go. Okay, right. So here's the paper. I'll just move it so it's a little bit better for you to read. Don't know why I went a bit David Bowie then. Does that get rid of that? No, I don't. I don't want that bit at the top. I don't want it. Right, there you go. And do you know what? I'll make myself small so you can read the actual things. That's cool, isn't it? Anyway, right. The Times has got blueprint to boost NHS workforce by 200,000. That's the headline there. And I find that interesting because let's face it, the government's plan is just that. All it is a plan. That's all they ever have. They just have a plan. It's like, we have a plan. And it's like, okay, are you going to do it? No, we have a plan for 40 new hospitals. We have a plan to send people to Rwanda. We have a plan to have really good trade deals around the world. Are you actually going to do it? No. And if we do, they're going to be terrible trade deals. Thanks very much to Paul Ewan there. £5 super chat. F the Tories. So it's interesting that the plan is to speed up trainees' routes towards. That's the towards what? I don't know. Gary Arnold, you're a lovely human being, Graham. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you for the super chat and the lovely thing. Thank you. Dear Rishi, we want to give all children a free school meal. If you don't have much money, you can't have food. If you don't have food, your brain won't learn. If you don't have food, you will get sad and sleepy and hungry. From Poppy. That's from Poppy, age 7, who's written a letter to Rishi Sunak asking for free school meals for all. A policy that I really, really do support. I think that's absolutely critical. And the fact that we spend more money on feeding prisoners than we do on feeding children in this country just blows my mind. And the Daily Mail, we should decide who comes here, not criminal gangs. But you're not putting anything in place. The Daily Mail is the Tory newspaper. It's a revolving door between working for the Mail and being part of the Tory party. But yeah, they could stop this right now. They could call their dad and they could stop it all. Oh yeah, by just making safe and legal routes to get into the country to claim asylum here. Like I said in the video, if you watched my video from last night, from the morning moment of truth, I make it quite clear. Like, you just set up a website. It's what we've done for people from Hong Kong. It's what we've done for people from Ukraine. If you are in Ukraine, you can apply for asylum. If you're in Poland and you're from Ukraine, you can apply for asylum. If you're in France and you're from Ukraine, you can apply for asylum here online, and you get all the documentation that you need. And I would go so far as actually paying for the flights for people to come over here, because otherwise, you are giving money to people traffickers. That's the way you get rid of all people traffickers. In the same way that you get rid of all drug dealers by legalizing drugs. You get rid of the county gangs, the county lines gangs, by legalizing drugs. Yes, I know drugs are bad. You would have to regulate them. Yes, I know all that. But the fact is, you would get rid of all the criminality behind the drugs trade in the United Kingdom by legalizing drugs. It's as simple as that. It really is very simple. It's very simple to do, to win the war on drugs. You legalize it. That's how you win the war on drugs. How you get rid of the criminal gangs that are bringing people over on boats is you give people the alternative. Do you want to just be flown over to the UK as a legitimate refugee? Or do you want to traipse your way all across Europe, perhaps over the Mediterranean, across Europe, over to France, and then take a rickety boat 30 miles across the channel over to a beach in Kent? Exactly. They don't have a plan. Not another cunning plan. A plan for a plan for a plan, indeed. I have another cunning plan. Tories risk bitter legal feud after Rwanda policy is ruled unlawful, is on the front cover of The Guardian. And also race-based US college admissions struck out, which is I was talking about before. Oh, my finger disappeared there. That was a bit like Back to the Future, wasn't it? Oh, my hand's disappearing. Sorry. ECB, take it seriously, Graham. Sorry. Financial Times, ECB hawks take aggressive stance on rates after UK's inflation wake-up call. So there you go. That's the European Central Bank, I think. I hope it's the European Central Bank, or I'm going to look like an idiot. Daily Express leads with Rishi's radical plan to fix NHS once and for all. Again, it's a plan. It's a plan. They're delivering. They're not actually doing anything. They're delivering. He never uses the word we are doing this, does he? He says we're delivering it. Because when it thinks something's being delivered, you don't actually have it yet. It's on its way. You're checking the app. You've got another 4 stops before it gets to you. It's being delivered. It's not actually here. Oh, the language they use. Anyway, mortgage deals hiked again as big six banks raise their prices. And apparently, boffins' brains explode. Brainiacs take a day off from saving the world to make a formula for the perfect cup of tea. Okay, nothing really going on in the world of the Star. Was this the day the Tories lost the election? Great leader from the Independent there. Bombshell 1, humiliation for PM as his flagship Rwanda stop the boats policy is ruled unlawful. And Bombshell 2, shaming of ex-MP as MPs condemn disturbing attack on democracy by Boris allies. Something I might try. If I've got time today, I've got a lot on, but I would like to do a video about the people who have been named in a parliamentary report as Phil did a bit about this yesterday on Morning Brew, but they've been named in a report saying that they're basically in contempt of Parliament, which means it's going to go to Parliament now, and they're going to decide whether they want the Privileges Committee to investigate. The Privileges Committee can go and do that, and then come back with a report, maybe over the summer or something, and it could recommend a 10-day suspension for each of them, or 2-week suspension, or whatever the minimum is, to trigger a recall petition. And then for the likes of Brendan Clark-Smith, who had the pop at Supertansky this week for having the audacity to praise the Samaritans, we could be seeing them out on their ear before the next general election. Yes. Let's see the look on their stupid, idiotic, moronic faces. But, they all got peerages from Boris Johnson because that's the way it works. And then we've got Grounded Hog Day for Rishi, migrant. Grounded Hog Day? Okay, I see what they've done there. a bit crap, but whatever. Migrant flights halted yet again as appeal court rules Rwanda not safe. And and what you didn't know about Indiana Jones. What I don't know about Indiana Jones could fit on the back of a postage stamp. I've actually written an entire Indiana Jones script now. Oh, look, really tiny in this room. Hello, it's Tiny Graham. Tiny Graham in his room. I've actually written an Indiana Jones script. I wrote it after being in jail in Congo for a week. I was inspired to write a story about. It was set in the 60s. During the height of the Cold War, and some old Nazis went to St. Petersburg, which was Leningrad at the time, and they stole Hitler's remains from the KGB. And Indy had to team up with a Mossad agent who looks a lot like Rachel Weisz, and basically stop them from resurrecting Hitler using voodoo in West Africa. Yeah, I know, it's good. It's good. If you want a copy, I'll send it to you, but I don't know the right people, so it never actually got to be made. And apparently this new Indiana Jones film isn't that great. So, a bit frustrating. Never mind. Anyway, first we had the white van man. Now we have a right wing plan. Only the former actually delivers. That's from Freckle Puny. The delivery. We're delivering. Anyone else read that headline in a mafioso voice? We'll fix the NHS for good. Yeah. I don't know why I went all husky there. But yeah, I wasn't going to try and do an Italian accent because that would be a bit racist. I don't know. Or I'd end up sounding like Mario. I've been reading the critical book. The author is very concerned about using volunteers to prop up the NHS. Indeed. Sounds better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Well, yeah, it was written kind of like as a bit of a response to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Of like getting back to Nazis, religious artifacts. The artifact was going to be the knife that Abraham used in the Bible to sacrifice his son Isaac on the top of the mountain that Indy would eventually have to use on his son on top of a mountain. Perhaps, I don't know. It's quite exciting when it gets to the denouement. Anyway, you have to read it to see how they resurrect Hitler. Actually, this is fun. Okay, so AI is moving in such a way now that there is a plugin for Premiere that's coming out, or maybe it's already out, in which you can put in a script and it will actually storyboard it out for you. It will storyboard the script based on what you've written into it. So I'm thinking, like, if that works well, I might make an animated, just on my own, animated storyboard version of my film and just put it on the internet for people to watch. Probably get in trouble for using. You just do the whole thing using AI. The whole thing. Could you imagine, like, if that actually happened? People are like, oh my god, this film's actually better than the one they made, and it was made for nothing using AI. I've got a bounce. Says Justin, F the Tories. Thank you, Justin. Indeed. Your sounds better than the your sounds better than the Crystal Skull one. I would, yes, it is. It is better than the Crystal Skull one on many levels. They're going to ask when they see who you are, they'll be disappointed. I didn't do that. That's all you. Ouch, that's gonna hurt. I don't know what you. Sorry, I missed that. A riveting tale of Indiana Jones in an African jail. I thought of it while I was in jail for 6 days and not getting fed. So I don't know, maybe it was like a hunger dream or something. But when I got home, I actually wrote it up in like a sort of ADHD kind of like fever, like I gotta tell this story of Indiana Jones. And then I gave it to my agent that I had at the time who worked in California, who had a partner, not a business partner, a business partner who actually worked for one of the biggest casting companies in Hollywood, actually. So it would have been a good person to read it. But he read it and he came back to me and he said, it's too much like a Bond film. And the action sequences are over the top because we have a car chase along a frozen river in Russia. Like, what? Like, he doesn't get nuked in a fridge. Did you see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Oh my god. I think a car race along a frozen river. They've probably already done that in Fast and Furious. I don't know, but I thought that'd be quite cool. Myself, you can actually do that with AI. Yeah. Indiana Jones and the boys from Brazil. Yes, Freckle Puny. Taking the cue from the boys from Brazil, but slightly a bit of a skew on that. But yeah, definitely. Anyway, so it is 1 minute past 10. Thank you very much for joining me for the morning. I've got through a lot of stuff this morning, haven't we? Normally we take like one or two topics to talk about, but there's just so much going on. And there's a lot of things that we haven't even really touched on. The off-gem price cap has dropped, so people are being encouraged to take meter readings. So if you're out there, please take some meter readings. And the BBC weather forecast predicted 8 degrees of weather due to a glitch. It's not going to be that cold. And we need to really, there's loads of stuff to talk about. So hopefully you will join us for the agenda at 1 o'clock, in which Phil and I will be discussing topics of the week. I'm going to try not to talk over each other too much. And then this evening we'll be back for the Labour Social. So if you want to grab a drink, a hot beverage, or a alcoholic beverage, or a cold beverage, whatever it is that you like to drink, and join us at 9 o'clock tonight for the Labour Social. You're very welcome to do it. Indiana Jones and the carbon fibre hull. Oh dear, Duke Vengeance. Too soon. It was called Indiana Jones and the Heart of Darkness. That's what it was called, because it was in Congo when I thought of it. But actually, he goes to Togoland, or Togo as it's known now, because it used to be a German colony. You see, I had it all worked out. He also goes to Hitler's Eagle Nest. It starts off in Jerusalem, then they go to Russia, then they go to Berlin as the Berlin Wall's being put up, and then basically it all comes down to the fact that they resurrect Hitler then, and they've engineered the Cuban Missile Crisis in order to basically nuke the rest of the world, and then bring up the Fourth Reich in the ashes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's the plan. Anyway, if anyone actually wants to read this script, get in touch and I'll send it over to you. Just don't change the name on it and send it off to someone that you know in Hollywood, because that'd be rude. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to all my patrons. You can become my patron. Go over to patreon.com/Labour Social. If you want to join me over on the Discord server now, I'll be heading over there to go and listen to James O'Brien. You can go and do that if you are a YouTube member or if you are a patron. So please do that. If you are a YouTube member or a patron and you haven't got access, please get in touch with me. Go to grahamdavidhughes.com. There's a contact thing at the bottom of the screen. You can just send me an email that way, as some people do. So until 1 o'clock, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.